Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. You know, a lot of us have not been as physically active during COVID-19 as other times, and some of us have become active during COVID-19. And so I thought it might be helpful to reach out to someone who runs marathons and try to get some inspiration as to what we need to do to get into more running. I used to be a runner, and I've not been running as much as I had in the past. And so I want to introduce you to Tamara Leitch, who runs marathons, and I think is going to be inspiring in what we need to do to get going. Tamara is a healthcare professional with a bachelor's degree in science, and she's got 2 minors in communication and psychology. So maybe we can talk about some of those as well. She's a clinical instructor at the Canadian National Institute of Health in the Department of Dental Hygiene. So I got to worry about where my teeth are white or not. So Tamara, sorry. Thanks for joining us. How are you?
Very well, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Tell me, how'd you get into running?
You know, I never grew up running. I used to do competitive swimming and gymnastics. In fact, I coached gymnastics for 10 years.
You coached gymnastics?
Yes, in Canada and the United States. I went to university in the United States. I went to University of Rhode Island. So I coached gymnastics for 2 years in Brown University. I was their assistant coach there and always had a skill with flexibility, but never ran long endurance runs. I didn't start to get into running until my mid-20s. So I've been running for almost 20 years now.
What got you into running after your gymnastics career?
Well, I moved to Boston, and when I first moved there, as you know, Boston's a real sports town, and the Boston Marathon is a large part of that. There's a big running community in Boston, so I decided to join a local running club there with athletes or runners, basically from beginner level like myself to elite marathon runners, and really got into the running. I enjoyed it. I started to go with friends. It became social. We went for group runs after work, and I really started to get comfortable with running and running long distances.
But not marathons right away.
Well, not marathons right away. Shortly after I joined the club, you know, we were going outside, we were going around the Boston Common, all around the city. And I was kind of tossing the idea around of loving to try a long distance run someday. And one of the runners that had run the Boston Marathon multiple times kind of encouraged me to try my first marathon. I was a little on the fence about it. And he gave me this motivational quote that I stick with each day. I think about it. And he said, if it doesn't challenge you, it's not going to change you. You know, and that
if it doesn't challenge you, it's not going to change you.
Yeah, you know, and that applies to many things in our life.
It sure does.
So I said, you know what? I am going to try my first marathon. I didn't even do a 10K or half marathon. I went right for the full marathon. I flew to Ireland. I'd never been there. Dublin, that fall, they were having their marathon there. I went on my own. I met other runners from all over the world that were running this marathon as well. And I finished it. I was so proud of myself that I actually did my first.
Oh, come on. You must have been training to get ready for that.
Well, I was doing these group runs with this local running club in Boston. It took me about 3 or 4 months to train, which is typical to train for a marathon. It takes about 4 months or so. And I just did it. And I was really excited that I had this, that I could do it. So it really inspired me to do it again. I got that, you know.
What is it about the running that inspires you?
I love the way you feel after a long run, that runner's high, the endorphins, the serotonin, just the happy mood that you feel after doing something long like that. You're tired, you're exhausted, and you're sore, but you know, that sense of confidence that you can achieve something like that. So it just kind of got me inspired to run more.
Did you run a Boston Marathon?
Yes. So when I finished the marathon in Ireland, when I came back to Boston, back to work, about 2 or 3 weeks after I came back, I had a patient that came in who happened to be one of the directors of the Boston Athletic Association. And I was so excited to tell him this big achievement that I ran my first marathon. And he encouraged me to try the Boston Marathon. So I registered and just really prepared for it. And it was one memory I'll never forget. Let's put it that way.
How did it go?
Not as I planned.
Oh,
I
no, how
thought,
come?
no, well, there was in April on Patriots Day, which is about the 2nd or 3rd April, in April, they have the Boston Marathon is held. And I decided that I would get ready early, get there. There was a rare heat wave that happened to come in that afternoon, up to 87 degrees.
Oh my gosh.
Which sounds great if you're going to the beach or to the park, but not to run a marathon.
April in Boston shouldn't be that warm.
No, it's usually 57 degrees, Brian, not
Yeah.
87. So media, the organizers, they were discouraging all the runners to run that year. It was one of the hottest on record. But I was still determined to run. And they said, if you're going to try it, go very slow due to the dangerous running conditions, due to the heat. So I did it. It wasn't with the time that I wanted, but the fact that I made it past the finish line in one piece was great. I had runners about mile 15, 16, 17 passing out, falling on the ground. It looked like a war zone. People were throwing up. 1,100 runners didn't make it past the finish line that year. So
because it was so hot.
it was so hot. Mm-hmm.
You talked about the endorphins in running. What are some of the other benefits?
You know, it's great for your heart. It helps fight diabetes. It boosts your metabolism. It builds muscle. Running is a weight-bearing sport. Those are just few examples that are great for running. I love it for the good mood it puts me in. I run each morning, so I think out loud, so it kind of organizes my day. And it's really become part of my life, my lifestyle.
And when was the last time you did a marathon?
About 3 years ago. So, but I am preparing for my next marathon in May. And it's going to be an ultra marathon, which is a 50K. I'm doing it to raise money for cancer research.
Oh my God. Why do you want to do 50K?
Why not?
Because if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you.
Yeah, right.
So I've heard people talk about like huge spaghetti dinners the night before. What do you do from a diet standpoint?
That's certainly something that we've always thought about for that's the traditional. I'm a big fan of a good protein and carb. Before I do a long run, if it's in the morning, I like eggs. So I'll have eggs with bagel and peanut butter. But you can also have, grilled chicken and roasted vegetables. I mean, there's all different types of proteins and carb. I think that you need to keep your body healthy, and having something beyond just pasta, combining it with a good protein is healthy.
Right. Okay. And what about afterwards? What do you do to recuperate?
Well, it's just as important to repair your body after a long run. Doing a good 20 to 30 minute stretch is important, and then eat something to rebuild your body. Again, good protein shake, or cottage cheese with fruit, or salmon with sweet potato, something nutritious, something healthy. You want to avoid saturated fats because it slows, your body doesn't absorb it. It takes a longer time, and it's not as healthy. So
were you in the Boston Marathon when they had the massacre in 2013?
I was there. I didn't run that year. I had a couple friends that were running. They were about a mile away from where both bombs had gone off. I actually was about 2 blocks away when the second one went off. And I didn't even understand what was happening. A huge bang, big cloud of smoke, debris everywhere. A runner had ran towards me saying, "Get the hell out of there. There could be another bomb going off." So it was completely chaotic at the finish line. The police were escorting anybody near there to get out of the city as fast as they could. So they're directing us towards the train station, which wasn't far. And on my way there, I just saw like a street just full of ambulances with sirens. I had never seen anything like this in my life. If I had gone there 10 minutes before, I wouldn't be here talking to you tonight, Brian.
Really?
Yeah, it was something. I'll never forget it.
You're running in this 50K for cancer. Why?
I think we've all been affected by somebody with cancer or somebody going through this awful, dreadful disease. I have a family member who I was very close with pass away about 6 years ago of cancer. And seeing somebody go through such a tragedy, you want to do whatever you can to do your part to help. And my way is through running. And I want to just, run and fundraise and just be a positive to help raise money for cancer research. So that's what I'm doing.
I'm sorry for your loss, but it sounds like you're doing good out of it.
Trying to. I've also run for other charities as well. I actually met Eunice Kennedy Shriver before she passed years back when I was in Boston. And of course, she's famously known for the founder of the Special Olympics. And I've run with that foundation as well. I've also run for the Ottawa Heart Foundation and also for COVID-19 research as well. So a few others.
So I've run up and down the Charles River and know Boston well. Lived there for a couple of years. If you were working in Boston, why would you come back to cold Canada?
Well, I have family here. I'm from the Ottawa area originally. So after 20 years of being down there, decided to come back to be with family. So here I am. And
you've got 2 teenage boys, I understand. Do they run?
They do. Not quite as avid as I am each day, but yes, we've done some 5Ks together and some other races. So it's been great.
And if someone wants to get started, what would be your big recommendations as to what to do? How to get started?
Online, there's some great running coaches online that you can find some information on. I was fortunate. I was happy before COVID-19 to have gotten into running because you can get the running clubs and go as a group. You could try something virtually with other runners virtually and have meetings and get some advice. But, there's also motivational movies on running and books on running. There's all different types of ways you can get yourself interested.
Well, Tamara Leitch, thank you so much for joining us. What's your message? What's your final message? Do you have a motivational something or other you want to leave us all with in regards to running?
Running a marathon is more of a mental game than anything. It's your physical strength that can get you to the start line, but it's your mental strength that gets you to the finish line. And it's about the endurance, about believing in yourself, and you can do it.
Is it Tamara or Tamara? Tamara. Tamara Leitch, thank you so much for joining us today and motivating us all to get a little bit more active and get out there and run. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Bye-bye.